The human named Lion had never expected that his quiet assignment on the frontier outpost would hurl him into the center of a political storm that spanned 3 star systems. He had joined the border patrol only to secure a steady life away from the noise of larger colonies. He had expected monotony. He had not expected to become the most controversial figure in an empire that until recently had considered humanity a troublesome but manageable culture on the distant edges of known space. Yet everything changed on one day when the distant alarm sounded and the skies above the outpost burned gold with the approach of an alien vessel. The vessel belonged to the Valari, a people who towered over humans in height and reputation. The Valari Empire was old. It was proud. It viewed humanity with a mixture of caution and disdain. Negotiations between the 2 species had gone poorly over the past cycles. Any encounter between their ships could lead to hostility. The presence of a Valari craft near a human outpost was no trivial matter. Leon had rushed to the outer perimeter, expecting an attack or at least a confrontation. What he found instead stunned him. A small craft ejected from the larger ship and spiraled downward as if damaged. It streaked across the sky like a wounded ember before crashing into the dunes beyond the outpost. The sand caught fire. The ground trembled. A few guards hesitated to approach, unsure if it was a trap. Leon did not hesitate. He ran. The craft hissed with escaping vapor. The hull was cracked. Leon forced open the door with a lever and a burst of strength born from instinct rather than fear. Inside was a Valari child. The child was curled against the broken seat, shivering. Thin golden filaments along the child's arms flickered weakly, fading in and out like a dying ember. Leon had never seen a Valari this close. He had never imagined he would see one so vulnerable. There was no hesitation in him. Compassion overrode caution. He carried the child out of the wreck and ran toward the outpost. The watchers stared in shock. Some lifted their weapons. None fired. The sight was too surreal. Leon shielded the small figure with his own body. He shouted for a medic. He shouted with a force that cut through the disbelief around him. The medics arrived. They moved with caution. The child was placed on a stretcher and moved into the emergency bay, while communication officers sent frantic reports across the sector. This event would ripple outward. It would reach the ears of leaders who did not tolerate uncertainty. As the medics worked, Leon remained near the doorway. His clothes were smeared with sand and smoke. His breath came hard. He felt no fear for himself. He felt concern only for the young stranger. Hours later, a shadow fell over the outpost. The Valari flagship descended like a colossus, crafted of obsidian and shimmering gold. The outpost shook beneath its weight. Most humans retreated inside. Leon refused to move. The flagship's landing doors opened, and a procession emerged. At its center walked the Valari Queen. Her presence was overwhelming. Her form was tall and lithe. Her skin held the soft sheen of burnished silver. Her eyes gleamed like molten gold as she studied the outpost with an expression unreadable to human eyes. She walked with the grace of authority. Every step spoke of a power that had shaped countless systems. Yet none of that power was what stunned Leon. What stunned him was the look in her eyes. When she saw him, she had no need for translation. Her voice resonated with a resonance that brushed against the mind. She asked where the young one was. Leon pointed to the medical bay. She entered without hesitation. The humans parted for her like mist before a tidal wave. Leon followed, unsure whether he was welcome or condemned. Inside the bay, the Valari child lay on a bed surrounded by monitoring equipment. The queen approached and placed her hand lightly on the child's head. A pulse of golden light passed from her palm into the young form. The monitors steadied. The child breathed more easily. Leon exhaled in relief without even realizing he had held his breath. The Queen turned to him. Her gaze was sharp. She asked how the child had survived. Leon explained. He described how he had opened the craft, how he had carried the child away from the crash, how he had shielded the injured form with his own body. The Queen listened in silence. When he finished, she regarded him with a focus that made even the medics step back. She declared that the young one was her heir. The room fell silent. Humans froze. Velari guards stiffened. The air seemed to thicken under the weight of the revelation. Leon felt his heartbeat falter. He had not known. He had not suspected. He had only acted. The Queen stepped closer. Her eyes gleamed with something stronger than duty. She declared that Leon belonged to her now. The words struck him like a shock. He did not understand at first. The Queen clarified. Among the Velari, the one who protects the heir with selfless courage is bound to the royal line. It was an ancient right. It was not symbolic. It was binding. By saving the heir, Leon had earned a position that no outsider had ever held. He was no longer only a human patrolman. He was claimed by the Queen. He was to stand at her side. He was to enter her court. He was to belong to her people in a way that would reshape both relations and destinies. Leon rejected the idea at first. He insisted he had acted because it was right. He insisted he had no need for reward or position. The Queen listened, but did not waver. She explained that the right was not reward. It was an acknowledgement of truth. His actions had forged a bond that could not be denied. He could not simply return to the outpost. Not without dishonoring the right. Not without dishonoring the life he had saved. Dozens of voices argued. Officers demanded negotiation. Velari guards insisted that the Queen's decree could not be questioned. The room filled with tension. At the center of it all stood Leon and the Queen. He felt the weight of the situation settling on him like a cloak he could not remove. Yet, as uncertain as he was, Leon saw the child breathe peacefully on the bed. He saw the Queen's fierce, quiet devotion. He saw fear in the humans around him and guarded loyalty in the Velari eyes. He understood that the moment he had lifted the child from the wreck, he had crossed a threshold he could never step back over. Leon agreed to go with the Queen for the sake of peace, for the sake of the child, for the sake of ensuring no war sparked from misunderstanding. The Queen nodded with a calm that felt like distant thunder. She placed a hand on his shoulder and guided him toward the exit of the bay. The Velari guards surrounded them. The humans watched with a mixture of awe and disbelief as Leon walked into the flagship. Life aboard the Velari vessel was unlike anything Leon had known. The corridors glowed with gentle gold light. The walls seemed alive. The air held the faint scent of metal and distant storms. Velari watchers observed him with curiosity rather than hostility. Word of his actions traveled quickly across the ship. Wherever he walked, he saw eyes that regarded him with respect he did not understand. The Queen summoned him to her private chamber. The chamber looked like a cross between a throne room and a sanctuary. The walls shimmered with constellations that shifted in slow, elegant patterns. The Queen waited near a raised platform that emitted a warm golden glow. She gestured for him to join her. He approached with caution. She explained that naming him hers did not make him property. Among her people, it meant he was bound to the royal line as a guardian and equal. It meant he was part of the life of the heir. It meant he would be protected by the strength of their empire. It meant he would hold influence that could reshape the fragile relations between humans and Velari. She spoke of ancient traditions that valued courage above blood. She spoke of her gratitude. She spoke of the child's importance. Leon listened. He doubted his worth. He questioned whether he could belong in such a place. Yet the queen continued. She told him that the child had woken and asked for him. The words disarmed him more than any declaration of power. He followed the queen to the chamber where the heir rested. The child looked up at him with eyes that glowed faintly. The small hand reached for him. Leon sat beside the bed. The queen stood behind him. For a moment, the gulf between two species narrowed to a single quiet room and a single quiet bond. Days passed. Leon learned the customs of the Velari. He trained with their guards. He walked the halls of their flagship and listened to the whispers of their history. The queen consulted him on matters concerning humanity. His presence softened long-standing tensions. He became a bridge neither side had expected, yet he remained uncertain until the day the queen called a grand assembly. Representatives from both species gathered in a vast hall filled with radiant pillars and star maps hovering in the air. The queen summoned Leon to stand at her side. She introduced him as the guardian of the air. She spoke of the rite he had fulfilled. She declared that this human had shown the heart of courage. She announced that the bond he had forged with her line would become the foundation of a new era. Leon stood before delegates who had once viewed humanity as lesser. He felt the weight of their attention. The queen placed her hand on his shoulder. It was not dominance. It was recognition. It was unity. He bowed his head slightly, not out of duty, but out of understanding that his life had changed in a way both heavy and meaningful. He was no longer just Leon the patrolman. He was Leon of the Velari court. He was guardian of the air. He was named by the queen. His future was uncertain, but it carried a purpose he could not